Hi everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, a wrestling VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be working on a new comic page. Hold on, it's going to take me a second to gather my thoughts. I've been a little out of it today. It's been one of those days, right? You know, it's like you have days that are should by all means and pretenses be normal, yet somehow they just rock you harder than you've ever expected. I don't know. Tomorrow might also be a bit tough. I'm not gonna lie. The perspectives on the week ain't looking too good, but we hang in there. We take those. We continue thriving, surviving, etc. What preset did I use to make a comic again? Right, this one. It was this one, right? Whatever. I'll figure it out or I won't. Gosh, yeah, though. Was it really only yesterday that I streamed? I feel like it's been a minute. Again, very long day. I think that's gonna be a big like impact tonight. It's just gonna be like me being like, man, it feels like it's been forever since I did this. It hasn't been forever, Pabs. You're just tired. you're just a little pooped. Oh goodness. I don't know though. I think those days where you feel tired, like, you know, if you've gotten a lot done and you feel tired, it's like a nice kind of tired, you know? It's like it's like when you go swimming, right? Hang on. Now the page layout for this one's going to be a little bit tricky for me to figure out. It's going to require a little bit of finagling because I'm going to try and fit in a decent amount of action. I think that's something that I'm starting to realize, that I don't tend to be very economic with my panels. I like, maybe it's because I like, whenever I think about like a comic, right? Whenever I think about like the way I would make a comic, I think of it as like a movie in my head. Like each panel has to be like a 3-second clip from the movie. But because of that, I have a little bit of more difficulty like showing time progressing, maybe showing like different things like that. And conversely, it also means that I can't fit as much as I want into a panel sometimes. So I think that's something that I want to work on. But yeah, I think though the good news is that there is like a kind of idea for how I want to do this, and I might change this up eventually. Is it just me? Okay, I think it might be that like the lines are. Hang on, I need to bump down the luminosity and bump up the saturation, I think, because I swear I can barely see these things. Oh no, not yellow. That's gonna make them even harder to see. Maybe more saturation. Yeah, that'll do it. No, that's still a little difficult to see. All right, we thicken those. We'll thicken them up a little bit. Let's see. Oh, that's weird. I didn't know that this pen didn't have like a the thickness adjustment pen didn't have a shift to drag from one side to the other function. I don't know. Can you call that a function? Oh yeah, we should probably open up page 8. Already on page 8. We made good progress last week. I'm glad to report. All right. Well, we got page 8. Make sure that it flows naturally from one page to the other. Okay. I kind of want to redo this bit down here. What the? Oh, I see. I'm on the wrong layer. Okay, so we bring in the rule of thirds, because again, I'm going to need some help like figuring out the composition for this one. So okay, so panel 2. Okay, I again need to keep these on separate layers if I want to live my life peacefully, if I want to live virtuously. Okay, over here, over here. Okay, we got those last 2 panels, no problem. Meanwhile, over here, right, okay. Okay, I'm gonna call it. Okay, I need to label my layers. So this is gonna be outside border. This one's gonna be composition assist. This one's gonna be panel dividers, and this one's just gonna be the sketch layer. Alrighty. Okay. I wonder how much of a disconnect it might be if I were to just suddenly do a 90-degree turn right here, and then just not have. No, that feels wrong somehow. Oh god, I don't like doing curved panels. I don't know. Something about curved panels seems very much like one of those. It's like bringing like somebody who barely knows how to cook into a kitchen, right? Like with careful application, you will have a magnificent visual assistance, but otherwise you're going to have like a. Well, no, in that case they would know how to cook. It's just like, how do I put this? It's like bringing a friend who like tries to air fry everything to a barbecue cookout. Like they might have some valuable insights and principles, but you know, if you're not careful, they're going to end up trying to air fry the short ribs. Can you air fry ribs? Hold up, let me Google something. Huh. So you can. I stand corrected. Never mind. Air fry away. I don't know. Maybe it's because I tried to air fry everything at one point, and now I see it as like an amateur move. because I really want to have this like big wide open panel, right? But the problem is page 8 is already kind of full up. Unless, hmm. No, no, that wouldn't be a good idea. Unless, all right, I'll have to pitch that to Ref. But let's try to figure out another solution here first. Let's see. All right, first let's draw like the idea that I have in mind for panel 2, and then we'll split hairs over the composition. Because if we have a finished product, it'll be much easier to understand what we want. Okay, there we go. Okay, doing the helmet. The awesome thing about using the 3D model of the helmet is that I've eventually gotten more comfortable just drawing it on my own. You know, it's been a big help being able to reference the 3D model, but after a while you get comfortable enough with it. I have often heard it said that the best way to learn how to draw something is by almost directly tracing it from the real life object, which unfortunately I don't have a reference of because this is not a real helmet that exists. As far as I know, I don't know. There might have been some dude who was super into modding helmets back in the 80s who did a helmet like this. It's not unthinkable. I don't know. I don't think I've heard of people who make custom helmets. Not, at least not anymore. I mean, back in the day, every helmet was to some extent custom because there wasn't such a thing as like an industrial line or an industrial production. Man, that would have been a really awkward kind of thing to ask to your knight buddies back in the heyday, right? Like you would be like, "Hey, man, will you be real with me? How many dudes died in the suit of armor that I'm currently wearing?" And and the guy will be like, "Oh no, don't worry about it, bro. You're the first one." And then you'll like peer down to a suspiciously pike-shaped hole in your chest plate that hasn't quite been patched out yet, and you're like, "Are you sure? You're not lying to me?" God. How many dudes have to die in a suit of armor before you start to believe that it wasn't so much a skill issue as so much as that the suit of armor was just really bad work, right? Because like if one dude dies in a suit of armor, you know that's life. It's tough, but it's just how it goes, right? You become a knight. You don't become a knight to live a peaceful life, right? Two dudes die in your suit of armor, and then you start being like, weird. Five dudes die in your suit of armor. That's when you need to start considering investing in a new suit of armor. Because at that point, I feel like at least one of those dudes would have been competent enough to like survive and still be wearing that suit of armor today. You know, all things considered the same, right? If all of them died to like artillery, right? Like if they all died from like a ballista or some kind of perhaps heavy duty catapult, then again, that's just kind of tough luck, but that's life. Also, it probably means that your lord is definitely sending you to die as cannon fodder against a ballista. So, if anything else, it would almost encourage you to switch employers, but maybe not switch suits of armor. You know how like when some people get fired or like when their offices get shut down, they'll like try to walk out with a printer from the office? I wonder if that was a thing back in ye olden times. You'd hear that the new lord would be coming soon, and he was going to disband the knights in order to build a citizens' militia, and you'd be like, "Well, fuck, boys, we got to get out of here." And you just like steal away in the middle of the night, all wearing your suit of armor, creating a massive racket, just like clank, 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 trying to sneak down the stairs. I don't know. I've seen. I believe. I am perfectly capable of believing that dudes in plate armor could do acrobatics because I've seen videos of that. I've seen people do absolutely insane stunts in full plate armor. I'm doing parkour in full plate armor, which is probably safer than doing parkour with no armor. I don't know. I think armored parkour is a double-edged sword in that yes, you might have a bit more protection against like bruised ribs and such, but I feel like past a certain point it'll give you a false sense of security. Great cardio though. I imagine that people who do full plate armored parkour have some absolutely fantastic cardio. They run up 20 sets of stairs and don't even feel winded. And I've mentioned this before. If there was one kind of exercise that I would never have to do again, like if I was able to wish to never have to do one type of exercise ever again, it would probably be cardio. Because as much as I like love martial arts and everything, cardio just does not feel very fun to build, right? If you're doing weight training, for example, you have sets, you can do a little bit of variety to it, right? But if you have cardio, unless you're doing something like CrossFit, which takes a lot of resources, your options are jogging, which can be fun. You can have fun jogging, but I don't really enjoy jogging because I feel like if I have a very easily irritated windpipe, right? So definitely a skill issue. I don't know. Is it still a skill issue if that's just kind of like how you're born? I was just not born to do long term cardio. I think. In any case, uh, I don't. Anyway, I digress. I'm not really a fan of jogging. However, if you're doing weight training, right, you can vary it up a little bit. You can do all sorts of different things. But the point of cardio is low load but high repetitions. It gets boring, and even listening to podcasts and everything, right? I feel like I would need to have some kind of legitimate cocoa melon, deliberate overstimulation kind of jogging thing because I find that unless I have my attention constantly pulled, constantly held by something, it is just not good for jogging. I remember listening to like a horror story one time while I was jogging, and I was really on the edge of proverbially on the edge of my seat. I was standing upright. But I remember being able to jog the entire through the entire story. Yeah, I remember some people try to gamify jogging a little while back. I remember there was like an application called like Zombies Run, and what that was it was synced up to your jogging routes, right? It could detect how far you were jogging, how fast you were jogging, and it made a radio play. Not radio play. It was a so the bit of the app was that you would jog and the story being told through your headphones would kind of tell you her like speed up or slow down based on the events of the book. So for example, since this one was zombie themed, for example, since it was zombie themed, if you needed to speed up, it was like, oh look, the horde is getting closer, and it was that kind of thing, right? I thought it was kind of a neat idea. I really liked it. Again, though, I'm not very good at cardio, and zombies don't scare me nearly as much as they used to. So, unfortunately, that was a pun fully intended dead end. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to need to bring the helmet in here. Okay. Oh, it's always a little messy manipulating it in these weird... How do I put this? In these kind of weird positions. Should I try to go for... I don't know. This one almost looks like she's looking too far up. Although this does confirm my suspicions that you can't actually see the top part of the cap here. This should be good enough for now. I'm going to copy and paste this just in case. Let's see. Okay. Put it like that, and then... have it like this. All right, we need to push this part a little bit further back. Oh yeah, I've also been doing a little bit of work on Blender. I've been trying out the different sculpting functions in Blender. I think it's a lot of fun. Definitely, if I get the chance, I'll try to stream it a little bit. But I've gotten a little bit wary of it because twice now I've been working on a little something in Blender, and then suddenly it crashed on me, and I was heartbroken. The first time I did learn my lesson, and I saved pretty frequently, but the second time was just kind of there to, I don't know, invoke my anger, curry my wrath. Okay, there we go. All right, we've got one strap, two strap, a strap and a half, and then we were going to have another strap just over here. Now, should it be sideways? I mean, it's going to be sideways one way or the other way. But I'm asking which side should it weigh? Or which way should it side? Okay, we can shrink this down a little bit. Let's get rid of this part here too. No, I feel like her head's too far back, unfortunately. Like, this looks like it would hurt your neck. Unless I move her head up a little bit. Maybe that'll help. And shrink it a little bit. Yeah, moving it up a little bit helped, I think. And shrinking it. Because now the head not only looks less heavy now that it's shrunken down, But it does look like she's peering her neck forward rather than, craning it upward. Forget these low effort arms, but I have a massive dinosaur guy to draw on top of them. There we go. Okay, take this, grab this, flip this around like this. Move this like so. Do I need to do the other arm? I might need to do the other arm. Let's see. Okay, this should be good for the hands. Then on top of this, I am going to draw a ratio. Who is going to be looking very perplexed indeed. Okay. Bottom chin right there, and then we add the big old jowls. How large is our ratio in this panel? Because Alright, suppose I were to flip this second panel. Actually, this would work really well. I'm glad I tried that. I kind of want to make a ratio's head a little bit smaller, but I feel like this gives it a good perspective of just how big he is. Let's see. Does Horatio have teeth? Does he? I don't. I can never remember if these dinosaur guys should have teeth or not. My gut instinct says no, but I've seen some very convincing pictures of photoshopped geese that lead me to believe otherwise. Every day I thank the Lord that He didn't give birds and other types of creatures that crawl upon the earth certain type of teeth. Could you imagine if a goose was trying to run up on you and it showed you like a full row of piranha teeth? I feel like I've had nightmares exactly like that. Freaking Untitled Goose Game would have been a much different genre if geese were allowed to have teeth. No, having this bigger curve is better. There we go. Perfect. I want to have his glasses be a little bit crooked. Maybe we can even lower this. Hang on, maybe we can extend this a little bit even. We need to reintroduce a certain type of guy back into society, which is dudes who yell out "Yigads." I feel like we don't have enough of those guys running around. Every other day, you'd see some guy witnessing a terrifying, tremendous act of nature, and instantly you would hear some dude go out and go yelling out like "Yigads." It was the olden day equivalent of somebody yelling out, "Yo, is anybody recording this?" Learning about minced oaths is so much fun because you get a lot of context for like how these phrases were supposed to sound, how they were supposed to be. So, for example, Gadzooks, which is kind of a quintessential nerd emoji, a type of phrase, is a minced oath for God's hooks, which is a much more hardcore kind of phrase. Maybe a little crack here and there. He's supposed to have a horn on this one side. I think it would be very funny if we had a little bit of the tent that they're about to burst through kind of skewered on it. Back in the day, this was a real thing that happened. Back in the day, hats were like seen as part of everyday wear, right? It's only surprisingly recently that hats are kind of a superfluous accessory. Back in the day, you were basically not considered fully dressed unless you had a hat on for some reason. I'm not sure why that was. Feels like a very specific thing to be concerned about. I genuinely don't know why it was that like everybody was so insistent on hats. It must have been like a modesty thing, right? I imagine that back in the day that must have been like a modesty thing, kind of like how nobody showed ankle. Nowadays, you don't even have to leave the house for somebody to show ankle. Hell, you can look at your own ankle. It's a world of madmen out there. Anyway, no. Wearing hats used to be like a huge deal to the extent that whenever a newspaper was reporting like a big event, for some reason they would always be like, without failure, they would be like, and 30 men lost their hats. Like, that's how you know shit went down. If dudes lost their hats and weren't able to pick them back up, yo, that was some that was some earth tremor kind of nonsense. Hmm. I need to thin this part out a little bit. Hang on. Okay, gel would go like this. How do I put this? I need to. I'm so happy I have access to liquify tools. They are such a blessing. Like, look at that. I just fixed that face that I was convinced I'd warped. Yeah, the crumpled hat now on his head. I wonder why, like, distressed jeans are a thing. Torn jackets are a thing. Why did crumpled hats just never catch on as a style? I guess to be fair, crumpled hats just don't have a very flattering silhouette, right? I whinge and whine, but distressed jeans still maintain the general silhouette of their non-distressed counterparts while adding a frayed element, which can be considered quite stylish. Meanwhile, jackets with holes in them. No, people don't generally think those are fashionable as a thing. I feel like that it takes a very specific kind of crowd for that to appeal to. It's definitely not a universal like. Same with distressed jeans. The closest I can think of to quote unquote crumpled hat couture is that weird crown thing that Jughead has. Hang on. Let me pull up a picture of what he's wearing. So it's like this crown thing, but from what I understand, it's a type of like fedora. It's called a whoopee cap, right? I'm not making this up. I'm reading it as we speak on Wikipedia. It was made from a man's felt fedora hat with the brim trimmed and scalped cut and turned up. In the 1920s and 30s, such caps usually indicated the wearer was a mechanic. Huh. Yeah, you can see this dude here wearing a real version of it. But yeah, that is the whoopee cap. Can't believe that's its actual name. That sounds so whimsical. Whoopee cap sounds like the kind of thing. It sounds like a code word for a party hosted by gnomes. Okay, am I prepared to canonically give Horatio's glasses what do you call? Are they called legs? Is that what they're called? Glass legs? Glasses legs? The things that you use to attach them to your ears. I don't know. I feel like that's a dangerous step forward. Oh yeah, no. Teeth are a big mistake. I'm not doing teeth on this guy. Nah, sorry, man. You got them bird lips. I'm sorry. I will not brook The teeth with the beak. The B-toothed bill. Let's see. Okay, we can make his head just a tiny bit smaller. Okay, I'm also gonna need to. Where would I put his cane? His walking stick. Let's see. Maybe somewhere around here. Yeah, this is gonna be kind of a ridiculous amount for Hawk to carry. She never skips arm day. I don't know. Maybe the jetpack makes things lighter, and that's why she can do this. Ooh, right. The I was about to call them tardigrade legs. The digitrade legs. Man, tardigrade legs would be an entirely different thing. Water bears ain't nothing to mess with, but you know they are not exactly known for their leg prowess, right? Okay. Hmm. What would be the most natural position for this foot to fall into? Yeah, kind of around like this. Okay, there we go. No, this looks more like the opposite leg. Maybe if I kind of twist it around a little bit. It's looking a little better. I think I need to work on the angle of it. No, 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 no. That's not going to work. We're going to need to do this a different way. Yes. Okay. Now we're onto something. Listen, the tube method always works. It never fails. Yeah. If you ever wonder what I'm doing when I'm drawing all these circles in a row like this, it's this trick I picked up a little while back. I like to call it the tube method. So, like, say you want to have a dude's hand reach out to you around here, right? You know where the body is, you know where the shoulder is, but you don't know how to position the arm exactly. Well, you do a little two-step dance. So first you figure out where the elbow is. So since he's holding out his arm like this, the elbow would need to be at the midpoint. So that could either be turned down, in which case it would look a little bit like this. Just a little bit. It could be turned to the side, in which case it would look like this, which creates a very nice kind of sense of perspective. The only one that I don't think could be twisted is like this, because that's just awkward. I don't think elbows bend that way. But even once you've figured out that you want the elbow around here, right? How do you really go about figuring out the way to build it? So that's when you use the tube method. And in that case, you just kind of keep building. It's like making one of those like really simple pots where you just like stack rings of clay on top of one another. You just kind of keep stacking until you reach the point where you want it to be, and then you pivot, and then you keep going with those circles until eventually you have a solid block that you can clean up a little bit. There you go. A really complicated way to make a very simple elbow. I kid, but it is very useful for stuff like legs, which, I feel like arms are one of those things that are very easy to take references of because of the fact that we've just got two. Most of us have two, which are in a very easy to access place, which is to say, right in front of our faces. Conversely, legs are a little bit harder to position, a little bit harder to suss out. Unless you can do a perfect Chun-Li style I-beam from the bottom to the top, you're going to have a little bit of problem figuring out the exact angles to the leg. Let's see. Okay. Trying to play around with the perspective on this a little bit. This looks kind of nice. Uh, hmm. Again, my only concern is that he did have the walking cane. Wait, I can just flip this hat around. What am I fretting? Why am I freaking out about this? Or actually, do you one better? He's holding down the hat with his cane. Or maybe the hat doesn't even need to be crumpled, or at least not bent right here. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's much I can do to make it look like he's not maybe arguing with Hawk here. I think that just comes with the territory of being princess carried by somebody half your size. All right, hang on. Let me undo some stuff on this fist right here. Okay, gonna need to do some funky stuff with this hand right here. No, no, no. I think the original plan to have it just like very close to where the hand is right here would probably be the best idea. What if elbow just a tiny bit higher, so he's holding onto the head with his wrist. Oh baby, now we're cooking. All right. I have turned this ship 180 degrees around. Call me Captain Ahab. Ooh baby. I don't know if Captain Ahab's uh, navigational skills were actually that good. I've never read Moby Dick. Like, I feel like he would have at least have to be like a pretty decently skilled navigator if people are willing to trust a crazy old man hunting a white whale out in such dangerous waters, right? It's the kind of cred that you get by being an eccentric. You know, most people wouldn't dare dream of like going on board with a crazy captain who also sucks at navigating, right? Yeah, you gotta sweeten the pot at least a little bit. No, it can't be that way either. It needs to be. Should I get a hand model in here? No, no, no. I've got this. I'll push out this horn just a little bit farther so you can see it here. Okay. Might need to do some stuff with the hand there later, but for the time being, this is good enough to kind of like give the idea. Okay, this is going to be the shoulder. I'm going to put it out more closer to around here. And of course, can't forget his big old slappy tail. It's Fat Tail Tuesday, baby. Yeah, you have to wonder how often this does have to happen to a ratio. Is he ever going to put the dots together that whenever Hawk joins in on like an archaeological dig, he somehow ends up getting sent like flying with her? Is he ever going to put those dots together? I wonder. When you have an adventure prone friend, rule number one is don't invite them to your workplace because either you're going to end up in like losing your job and having to learn a valuable lesson about friendship, or you're going to somehow get promoted beyond your wildest imaginations to a to a position you barely have the skill set for or the qualifications for, and you'll eventually run out of gas some way or another. Let's see. Okay, over here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. There we go. Yo, I'm really happy with how these two came out. I'm very happy with that. Now I just have to figure out a way to, first of all, fit them into a slightly smaller panel, which is a shame because, again, this looks so sick. All right, let's use a little rough erase to make sure that we don't have too much overlapping between Hawk and. Hang on. Between Hawk and Horatio. And that way, we can bump Hawk back up to full visibility and merge the two layers. Oops. Don't flatten image. Don't do that. Dear God. We're not animals. One time I remember reading on Twitter, right, about like how different artists like organize their canvases, right? And I remember one dude's answer in particular freaked the shit out of me. Not because it's like particularly weird, but because I personally cannot fathom it, right? It's one of those things where you're like, I didn't know you could live that way, and I'm scared to, and like it just goes so against the grain of everything that I've learned. So what this guy does, right? Instead of making new projects or new files, he has every single artwork that he's ever done in a single file on separate layers. Like the dude's layer management game is just insane, and he just lives like that. Like I cannot help but kneel out of respect. Like that is insane to me. I forgot what his name was, unfortunately. Although I imagine he can't be the only one who works that way, right? I imagine that especially if you've got like specific workflows, right, where you want to like quickly tab in and out of works, it's actually much faster to have a very neatly organized, or maybe not so neatly organized, layer system rather than popping up old files. Yeah, we need to shrink these two way down. It is unfortunate, but whenever I draw somebody wearing cargo shorts, I do have the rather pressing desire to also put them in a Triforce T-shirt. It's like seeing a cat without like a collar or something, right? It's like seeing a chessboard with only one set of the pieces. It feels like a part is missing. I don't even need the jetpack reference. I don't need to draw that much of it. I just need to draw the thrusters here. Just spitting out. I need to move this just a little bit to the right. I'm realizing now that I misjudged the positioning of the thruster spark. Okay, the jetpack wouldn't be visible from this angle, but it would be visible from just a little bit. You catch like a glimpse of it. Just a tiny little glimpse of it. No, you wouldn't be able to see it from there. Which actually makes me think about the way I positioned this one. Hmm. Maybe I do need the jetpack reference in here. Hold up. Okay. So then you move like this when you move it like that, and then you move like this. Come on. Yeah, most of the jetpack would be covered up, is the difficult thing about it, right? Although it would be slightly rotated from here. Let me rotate this sucker. Okay, so good news. You'd actually be able to see just a little bit more of it than I anticipated. No, that's a little high, actually. Ooh. May have overhandled it again, I fear. Okay, there we go. Now, you'd be able to see at least the thruster over here. Let me extend the thruster. If I were to theoretically, just saying, just thinking out loud here, move this up just a tiny bit, and then just extend the thruster right here, just a little bit extra, just, as a service to an old friend. Well, no, not really an old friend. The jetpack model's been around for approximately 2.5 weeks, I believe. So, relatively recent friend. But a friend nevertheless. And what are friends for if not somewhat exaggerating proportions? There's a dick joke to be made in there somewhere, but I'm not. But I think I've said enough as it is. Okay, and then we go ham with the sparks. And the most important thing is that these need to come from the tent. Additionally, we can also use this to determine the other place where the thruster trail would be coming from, which is over here. Yeah, if I'm remembering okay, let me pull up page 2, I believe, which has the general layout of the camp. Gonna drink some water real quick. Okay. Whew. I feel like I just came out of a trance. I feel really good after drawing all that. All right, so let's say they were in the tent over here. Right? That means, okay, tent over here, that means, let's just take a screenshot of this and flip it. Okay, yeah, they would have come out of this tent right here. And then to the left of this would have been those shipping containers. Why am I... Oh, different layers, I see. Yeah, I've mentioned this before. I would really like to try staying overnight in one of those shipping container houses. Fun is a strong word for what I'd have in there, but I feel like I'd be able to appreciate the experience. I don't know. I feel like if I tried out one of those things, my claustrophobia would either activate like it's never activated before, or I would be find at peace. It'd be like returning. It'd be like returning to the what's it called? What did humans come out of? The frickin' primordial soup. It'll be like an amniotic sac. More likely, though, it's going to be very boring in there. I mean, how exciting can it get inside of a shipping container? Assuming the shipping container doesn't have like fireworks or something. In which case, oh boy, can it get exciting. I wonder if there's ever been an instance where somebody just did leave a shipping container full of fireworks out in the sun for too long, and the heat eventually just caused those little suckers to go off in there. That sounds like the kind of urban legend you'd hear about in middle school. You know, like one of their cousins would have told it to their younger cousin to mess with them, and the younger cousin would have taken it as gospel truth. That's how childhood memories are made. You carry those misconceptions with you to adulthood. Until one day you're like, huh, you know, in retrospect, it never really did make sense that a fireworks went off inside a shipping container. And then you Google it and then you find out it's impossible. And you're like, huh. You know, you feel a little bit of relief, but also a little bit of bittersweetness. Okay, then we have the dig site not too far back. Again, I feel like I should at least put some fucking safety railings on this thing. It is the future, after all. Who's to say they don't have instantly deployable holographic safety ledgers? Space OSHA would have been all over that. Let's see. Wait, I'm not gonna. I'm going to hold off on drawing the background right over here because that's probably where. Excuse me. That's probably where the first panel is going to go. Hmm. All right, I'll erase this part right here, and then here I'm going to draw the first panel. I am going to try to put it above Horatio's hand. No, below? Above. No, below. In the middle? I need to both avoid making it look like he's holding onto the panel and avoid it like being like, how do I put it? Sometimes when you make too much of an effort to dodge something, it becomes more obvious that you're trying to dodge it. It's like the white elephant, right? You know, if you've never heard of the white elephant, it's like it's this psychological thing where like if you try to avoid thinking about a big dancing white elephant, you suddenly can't help but try to imagine a large dancing white elephant. Maybe it's doing the shuffle. I don't know. Anyway, God, wouldn't that be a fun psychological test? Forget the Myers Briggs. Forget the friggin' what I don't know which other ones there are. Forget astrology. When I say a dancing white elephant, what dance is he doing in your mind? Maybe he's doing a little bit of stanky leg. Who knows? It's your elephant to do with as you will. Hmm. What if? Okay, hang on. What if I show like an outside shot of the tent? It has windows on the side, so you see Hawk rushing in there. No, wait, these would be covered by. Would it be covered by shipping containers? Hmm. Actually, I can work with this. Actually. Hang on. Let me cook for a minute. I don't know why I am so attached to the phrase "let me cook." No, this is my stream. Literally, nobody can stop me from cooking. Let's see. Over here. 3 windows. Then, okay, we have the flashbang go off. And then maybe we can have like some sound effects up here, kind of like showing off the action. Okay. Okay. I need to push these guys a little bit closer to the boundary line, maybe a little bit lower too. Yeah. So to give you an idea of what each of these are supposed to represent, so this green line right here, this line right here, I'm kind of following along it now. This line in the middle here, this is the quote unquote safe zone. This is ideally where most of the panel is. However, if I want to get a little bit wild and wacky with it, I have to work with until around this zone, which is like this blue zone, which is like the kind of trimming zone. So that's just kind of how they used to do old comic books, is the thing. But the idea of it is that right around here, this would be like the absolute most like it. We would have to make sure that this is a page where it's at the right hand side so that you can fully see the arm, because otherwise it's going to get eaten up by the page binding. Let me expand this a little here. But yeah, I'm kind of fascinated with how older print stuff used to be made, because nowadays, like I feel like nowadays printing is basically an arcane art, which it might as well be given how some printing technology works, right? Like from what I understand, the way printers work now, like some of the printers work nowadays, is essentially that they lightly toast the paper with like some kind of like weird electrons or something, and then like the ink is attached to those electrons. I don't know. It seems very difficult and rather hard for a simple pirate like myself to understand, but it sounds kind of amazing. Wait, no. This on this side of the table. Oh, that's going to be a problem. I need to make sure the eyed guy is on this side of the table. It's a good thing I gave these dudes pretty distinctive silhouettes, because otherwise I'd be in deep, deep trouble. Yeah, I had a lot of fun designing the aliens showing up on page 8. You know, we've got one of these older, we've got like one of these dog guys. We've got a slug in a jar. We got a dude who's 90% stank eye. It's quite the eclectic group of weirdos. Okay, we can have Hawk's legs just kind of going in through here. That foot could stand to be a little smaller. I do wonder if I should have the wings splayed in this one, because I feel like this does have to be kind of like a running start kind of thing. But on the other hand, it wouldn't fit through the door, is the thing. That simply would not fit, no, sir. All right, folded mode we go. Okay. Make this just a touch smaller. Hold on. Maybe we can. Hmm. Yeah, now this looks a bit too high. Gotta reel in the tip of that boot too. It looks a little loose, to say to use a generous term. Remember when dudes when dudes to signify that they were poor would just wear a barrel and have like shoes that had the had the sole kind of like just flip flopping around. I don't know. In ancient Greece, we had the philosopher Diogenes who lived in a barrel. In the 1920s, during the industrial era, to show that somebody had lost their livelihoods, we had a guy running around wearing a barrel. I'm feeling that, like, after the 2008 financial crisis, we need a new, refreshing take on applications, creative applications, that is, of the barrel. I feel like we have the next big barrel thing coming in. Could be, could just be a hydro flask. I don't know. May the hydro flask is the natural progression of the barrel in society. Who would I be to judge if that were the case? If nothing else, it just means people are drinking water. Still, that feels like it lacks panache in a way. I would certainly accept it, but I would be somewhat disappointed. People just don't used to fuck around with barrels as much as they used to. I don't know. Maybe it's because now they're more expensive. Because back in the day, right, you had a solid wooden barrel. As much as video games would lead you to believe otherwise, those seem like they would be very difficult to smash. So I feel like though they gave you like a sense of security in a way. That's why people could stand to wear them, live in them, etc. Conversely, nowadays we just have these cheap plastic things. You know, now those would believe. Well, maybe not being rent asunder as the wooden barrels are. That'll never be replaced, but certainly tipped over or otherwise punctured and damaged. That I could certainly believe. Okay, what is wrong with this foot? What's wrong with this picture? Why am I not happy with it? Okay, I think that's better. Okay, the thigh holster would be on this side. That's something that I'm grateful for. I'm not going to need to draw the thigh holster. Okay, erase this part right here. And that actually works perfectly because this way with the shipping container, I can make it so that it fades out to a darker color here, or maybe even a lighter color, and that matches kind of like the sky of this second panel. Okay, we have some kind of a few of the bits of the tent flipping and flapping in the wind here. I don't know. I need to show that Hawk is carrying like oodles of grenades as well, but there's no good place to hang them off of. At least no place that wouldn't like interfere with the rest of the picture. I'll have to find a way. Okay, there we go. Other arm right here. Then we have right here the kind of like epicenter of the explosion. Okay, then over here we'll have Horatio's shadow. I wonder how I can make it more easy to read that it's Horatio. I mean, first thing that comes to mind is giving the shadow a big old snout. Actually, that's already working wonders. What else can I do? First, let me fill in the rest of this so that we can get started. We have a little bit more of a clearer canvas to work with. Yeah, having the little horn there also helps. Let's see. Okay. Really thin out the heart eraser right here. The dog with the sunglasses bearing the brunt of it. The only one, I feel like the dog with the sunglasses gets more or less the same damage as everybody else. You know, with the ears, with the dog style ears, you would think that he would get away the harshest out of everyone with the natural affinity for hearing. However, because he is wearing sunglasses, he doesn't get the visual component of it. So he basically, you know, you get double on one end, you get half on the other. That's basically a net zero. Okay, let me increase the area scaling on this thing. Okay, here we go. Can I put the dog maybe? Hang on. Is it possible for me to flip the dog? Sentences that only the most hardcore of I don't know canine hairstylists. Is that a thing? No, I mean obviously canine hairstylists are like a thing, but I mean like flipping the dog. Me when I'm the wrestler who's about to take on Clifford. I'm gonna flip that dog. Me when I'm one of those rotating sausage machines at the 7-Eleven. Me, a Norse god, seeing the wolf that is supposed to eat the moon run up to me during Ragnarok. I don't know. What is that anything? Was that anything? I feel like that was something. I don't know. I don't know enough about Norse mythology to do Norse mythological deep cuts. Right? I can do like maybe shallow cuts of Chinese mythology, but like maybe, but definitely not deep cuts of friggin' Norse mythology. No, not on your life. Okay. Little dude in his jar. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then we move maybe these guys a little to the left. No, we let's just extend the cargo containers. Why not? I mean, what was beside those guys? More cargo containers? All right. There we go. Oh yeah, good news by the way. I think my oven's back up and working. The guys who came in to repair it must have come in while I was at work. So yeah, now I'm finally able to bake stuff again. Very excited about that. I need to make a very, very small batch of cookies. The thing is, the cookie recipe that I use was made by people who like bake professionally, right? So I don't think they adjusted their recipe sizes for, just one dude who doesn't generally share food. Mostly out of principle. In a way, I can respect it. You know, you wanted recipes from a bakery? You're getting recipes from a bakery, son. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like nuclear fusion, right? How once you reach a small critical mass of it, unless you reach that critical mass, it's not going to work, right? You need to have a certain amount of cookie to your dough. Yeah, I think what I can do is expand this panel here, the art of it at least. That's not too bad. I'm definitely gonna need some feedback on it though. Yeah, I think this is gonna have to be the way I do it because otherwise I feel like, hmm, unless, unless, hang on, hear me out. We continue expanding this part here. And again, here. All right, first, hang on. First, before I do all that nonsense, hang on. Let me copy and paste this just in case. Now I can get up to my tomfoolery without fear of repercussion, which is to say, the repercussion in this case being not being able to get back to where I was previously. Yeah, now the canvas is prepared and ripe for hooliganism. Hooligan is such a fun word. You know, it doesn't have the same kind of like bite to it as like say dirt kicker or like punk or like it's a relatively harmless phrase. It's like calling somebody a rascal. Like even if you're the person on the receiving end of it, you're like, huh? I don't know. Maybe this cuts out too much of the tent. Yeah, no. It needs to be okay, maybe just a little bit bigger, but not as big as I made it previously. Okay, one frame here. Or like one of the camping pics. Again, I swear I looked this up the other day. Hmm. Maybe I can make Hawk's outline just a tiny bit bigger here. Hawk's figure, I mean. Let's see. Oh, the eyeball man is eating up a little bit of Hawk's hat over here. Perfect. Okay. And then just for funsies, we can have Hawk kind of maybe even hang on. Maybe even like over her neck like this, we can have a bandolier. Ooh, yeah, that actually looks kind of tight. I like that. All right, for now we'll just have these cylinder-looking things in place of grenades. I don't know. If we want to get funkier with it, we can get funkier with it. But for the time being, I feel like cylindrical is a good shape for a grenade to have. It kind of looks like she's got a. Whenever you have like a bunch of grenades all put together like this, you can't, especially when they're like low poly grenades like this. You know, these are technically quite high poly, but or actually these are more like no polys since there aren't any polys in here, right? But whenever you have like a bunch of grenades like this put together, I can't help but think that it's the character carrying around a whole thing of tall boys. Like I'm just imagining in my mind's eye some dude carrying around Arizona iced teas like this. That dude would be a hit at parties. I know for facts. He'd be nicknamed something like Arizona Rambo or something. I don't know. Did Rambo wear a bandolier? Hang on, let me look up Rambo real quick. No, he definitely. No, wait. Okay, conflicting information. In First Blood, no, he did not have a bandolier. But then in another picture, yes he do. However, that is a bandolier of bullets, not a bandolier of grenades. Yeah, you can see here. After a while, they just start getting kind of ridiculous with it. Like, look at this. I don't know. Rambo just feels like one of those series where like it needs to keep escalating dramatically. I think I've seen like a snippet of one Rambo movie. I remember when I was very young, I visited my grandparents' house, and my grandfather was for some reason watching a Rambo film. Apparently, he really liked action movies, and I just sat down to watch it with him. I was like, "Whoa, okay, cool, murder, tubular." I was like 6, 7 years old at the time. I don't remember how old I was. Maybe older than that. Probably like, I don't know, maybe 10, 9 years old or something. Definitely not a teenager. Definitely earlier than my teens. But apparently my grandfather on my mother's side loved action movies. I'll switch up how many grenades she has, of which type I mean, because I can also add more light bulb grenades. But for the time being, I think this is a solid setup. Although I do think that wearing them around your neck like this might be just a little bit irresponsible, given that they're high explosives. I don't know. You've heard it a million times, right? You hear about your buddy who's trying to make a fashion statement out of wearing a bandolier of grenades. He's also wearing gauges at the time. One ring connects with the other in a feat of rather impressive accidental magic, and then suddenly, boom. I always have wondered how they did that ring linking trick. I imagine it's some matter of sleight of hand, of course. Like it has to be, right? But how? What kind of sleight of hand? They certainly don't palm it. I don't know. When I was a kid, I thought learning magic tricks, like just learning sleight of hand, would be the most cool, useful thing on earth. But I never really had a knack for it. My hands are better suited to drawing, after all. Besides, the kind of stunts that I wanted to pull off, you don't really see tutorials for on YouTube. I might have been setting my expectations a little bit high at the time, I will admit. Readily, I will admit. Okay. I don't think I have enough gas in the tank to do the last couple panels, so those are going to need to wait for another day. Or maybe another night. But other than that, yeah, no, thank you all for coming by. I really appreciate it. Have yourselves a lovely evening. Later. Bye.